Good morning everyone and welcome back to Craft Eccentricity. Got some nice bright sunshine here and I hope everyone's going to have an awesome day. Right, yesterday it was an Eiffel store design team haul and I got loads of card panels. So I've decided, because I've got so many, I'm going to do them today, I'm going to do them tomorrow, and I'm also going to do them on Friday. I think that's probably the best way to go. And it's Tuesday today, so, you know, we'll get a few done. Right, now, I pointed out the two peacock ones. I thought these were quite interesting. They're interesting and they are the most intricate, which is why I've chosen them. So today's video may be, oops, it didn't cut out disaster, or everything's going to go smoothly. So anyway, this is my idea, and I've already cut a sheet of cardstock to take up the height of the dies. The height of the dies are 5 1/8 inch. So I've done a 5 1/8 inch height of cardstock, and then the length of the cardstock is 8 1/4 inches. That is long enough, as you can see. If I push those two panels, if I do them back to back, that's going to be a lot easier. And I've got a little bit of a gap in the middle, but don't worry. You can see that my cardstock is going to fit the dimension of those dies and leave me just a fraction extra in the middle for scoring. Now, this is my idea. I'm going to go here. This is going to be the front panel, and that is going to be the peacock. And then once I've cut my peacock out, I'm going to flip it over and then run the feather through the die so that the one, I hope, will overlap the other. So this is what my folded card should look like, so that when the card is opened, and as you know, I don't normally make opening cards, I want to be able to use my stencil brushes to add a lot of lovely bright colour here. And then I want to be able to cut the feather in gold cardstock, because I just think that will look really glamorous and pretty. So that's the idea. I'm going off to die cut them. Let's see how long it takes, how many times I have to put them through, and I'll be right back. Right, so I did that, and it appears my die cutting is successful. I did use a piece of Scotch removable tape, something else that I don't normally use, and I ran it back and forth and back and forth. And as you can see, I'll do a close-up. It looks like what should have cut out did cut out. So I'm going to lift up the die, there we go, and gently peel that bit. That's the back of the card. I never throw this away. I usually just stick it down on the top of my die cutting machine, so that if I'm going to be good and use it again, then, you know, I will. So let's have a look exactly what we've got here. Now, I'll get my poke tool, because sometimes delicate things like this, I just like to pop those down and hold them down with something while, you know, you get the rest of it out. And this, of course, is going to take a while to poke out, but I'm here to show you that it works. So that's some of the larger pieces, which are clearly coming out easily. You can see that. But these are always the bits that are of the greatest concern to me. So let's get those. And the little bits, let's poke at the fiddly bits, and they all look to me, I'm just choosing random places where the die would cut so that you can see that, and they are all pushing out. Now this bit needs to be released, and as you can see, I've got a short piece here that I'm going to have to trim off. So I'm going to go along the whole length of the card to do that, and the same thing on the base of the card. I'm just going to be guillotining just a small fraction off the edge of it there. But as you can see, that does indeed work. And if I hold that and push on that, you can see those bits are going to come out. Right, so peacock works, and I will finish that edge off in a minute. The next was the feather. and back and forth again. And as you can see, that has cut out. Now I cut this out as a piece because when this is folded, the peacock feathers are going to go in here, so that it's just a lovely background for that to fold onto. So if I flip that over, you can see from the back and forth, it absolutely did cut out. And this is the Panalisa gold glitter paper, which is quite a delicate one, but because it's got this kind of like tissue backing, I hope that's showing, it glues down really easily. So all of these pieces, I know they're going to come out, and I'm not going to sit here for 10 minutes poking. So, you know, there's a few of the delicate ones that I'm going to lift out for you just to show you that it works. And that little loop has looped around that. So, you know, you just have to be careful with things like that because you don't want to tear anything. So you can see how delicate that is, and it has popped out. So I will finish poking and I will be straight back. I just quickly came back because I finished poking that piece out, but I just wanted to show you how lovely that is. Just look at how delicate, and everything poked out and nothing has torn. So if I pop that down there, you can, you know, you can kind of see just how lovely that is. It just cut out absolutely beautifully, and you've got these lovely little embossed scrolls that kind of complement the open pieces that you can see. I'm just going to finish poking that out and I'll come back. Right, so I've done the peacock, and you can see, I don't know if my camera's going to behave and let me get in close. Might just be wasting time waving it around, but you can see the whole thing has cut beautifully and poked out beautifully, and as did the gold feathers, which are going to go on the inside section. Right, now this bit I want to colour it. I want to colour before I fold, so I'm just going to move my feathers up there so I don't damage them, and I'm going to grab my scruffy mat, which is a silicone mat. You've seen me use this loads and loads of times. I just love them. They're just perfect project size. And I'm going to put that on here because I'm going to ink it. Hopefully that's in camera and you can see it. And then I've just got a rough cut scrap of cardstock, but as long as you've got a straight edge, you'll be fine. You can see where this serrated edge is there, and that's basically where I'm going to hold it to, and I'm going to use my stencil brushes, which are these. Now, I always keep them yucky because I'm always using them. I'm pretty sure that if there was ever a time I needed to use many different colours, I'll just wash them. But I've also got two of my smaller ones, and you can see the size of the brush there, because I might use these for doing little bits of the peacock's feather. But the first thing I want to do is use this one, which I think has had corduroy on it, and if it hasn't, then it doesn't really matter. But I'm using these inks. Right, what have I got here? Let's just grab them in a bunch. And I'm using Forest Moss, Corduroy, Prize Ribbon, Salvage Patina and Peacock Feathers. But the first thing that I want to do is the tree trunk, which is this bit coming down here. So I'm going to put those other ink pads over there. I'm going to grab the lid off of this one. Just in with your brush and just swirl it around. That's all you have to do. And it's so easy to colour like this. It doesn't, you know, hurt your wrists or anything. So making sure that my line is as straight as possible, because you don't want to get any ink on. This will be the reverse of your card on this side. And just kind of like get a feel of what is what and just go in. And I do want to absolutely saturate it with colour. So I'm just going to go over and over and over the area. Obviously, grabbing your ink one-handed is never an easy thing to do. But all I'm doing is just swirling it around. See how much control you've got over the area where you're in. That's what I love about these brushes. I'm going up there again and back down. And I'm also going to do the top frame, because, you know, that just feels to me like it would be part of the tree. Now you can, with these brushes, you can get really subtle blends or you can get dark blends. It's entirely up to you. The more ink you put on, the more uniform obviously your colour will be. Sometimes I like to go a bit two-tone or even three-tone, which can look really nice. But as long as you're holding up to your straight edge there, and I do want to go a lot darker on my edge. I do know that. So I'm holding my straight edge in place and just going up and down. And then I want some here. If you get some into the feather area, that's not really important at the moment. I'm just delicately stroking up here because I don't want to overdo the brown where I'm going to put some green. And also I don't want to overdo the brown where it meets the feathers. So that's what I've got at the moment. And I can actually do away with my straight edge now because I've basically done it. So that is my tree portion. And next I want to do my leaves. See, you've got a nice straight edge for your ink. So I'm just going to pop the lid on that. And I'm going to go into forest moss for the leaves. So, you know, you can see I've got a brush here that I've used for everything, but it's basically almost green. It's a greeny blue and it will do. So I'm hunting for my forest moss, which is quite a dark one. I'm using these darker shades because I'm hoping that the peacock feathers will show up better. So there's my forest moss, which is a kind of browny green. Make sure your fingers are clean and then you can go and hold your white cardstock. Now, if I feel that this green is not bright enough, then I will get a different one. But I'm just getting a feel of where my leaves are. So that's quite naturalistic at the moment, which is quite nice. I know that there are an awful lot of people that don't like peacocks. I am well aware of that. I don't know whether it's because of the colouring. I know there's quite a lot of people who don't seem to like, you know, bright shades of blue or purple and stuff like that. I kind of like every colour in the rainbow, and if I can use every colour in the rainbow, I'll go ahead and do it. The more colour, the better. So there I've got my sort of, it's very subtle and subdued, and I'm going to stick with that, I think, for the moment, and just be happy with that bit, because I can always go in and brighten it up afterwards if I want to. So that's my foliage going on there, and I think I'm going to add a bit up here to kind of blend it out into that brown. Right, so we've got that bit going on, and then of course the next bit is going to be the whole body of the peacock. You know, just go in and go for it. And I'm going to be using Salvage Patina first, because that one is my lightest colour that I want to use, and I am using a brush that has had peacock feathers on it before, which is darker than Salvage Patina. So if I get these two together, you can see, and this one is kind of like that one, but you know, it is what it is. And I'm going in, that's what it looks like, just swirling my brush around, and I want to get as much ink on here as possible, because then I'm going to go in and darken it up with the peacock feathers, which is a lovely colour. And can you see there's a bit that I haven't poked out there? Yeah, I get really annoyed with myself about things like that. You know, you make something, you get all proud, and you think, oh yeah, I'm going to go and photograph it. And there's like several bits that you didn't poke out or you haven't coloured in yet. So while I'm thinking about it, I'm just going to poke it and hope that it comes out. Whoop. Flip it over. Let's have a look. There we go. Now, because I've picked it up, I've got to clean my mat, because if I put it down, I'm going to end up with ink on the inside. So I'm just going to pause a second and clean. Right, so that mess was cleaned up, and I'm going back into my salvage patiner again, just loading up my brush, and just going to go back onto the peacock's body. I'm going to start putting more onto the area that I personally think would have more shade. So I'm going up that section of the body, and then I'll just use up what I've got left on my brush and go in there. Right, so that is the salvage patina layer. Using the same brush, I'm now going to go into Peacock Feathers, and as you can see, it's a lot darker. It's very, very juicy, so I'm going to go off on the shade area first and hold that down. You might not see much of a difference to begin with, but it will. I promise you, start to look a lot darker. Maybe you can see that. So I've got this lovely two-tone going on, but I want to keep those paler areas there for a reason. And I'm going to show you that in a second. If you find you've skipped onto your leaves and stuff like that, don't worry about it, because you can just use your brushes and go back in. And of course, you don't have to be perfect. Yes, never aim for perfection, because sometimes it can be disappointing. I know. Right, I'm going to use my medium-sized one. I'm going to use the smaller one on the prize ribbon, and now going into Peacock Feathers again, just using that. I've just picked up a little bit of ink, and now I want to do these areas, and I'm just touching them to darken them. Don't worry if they look like sort of squibbly circles at the moment. That's absolutely fine. It's just wanting to get just a little bit of darkness in those areas so that we're changing the colour of the birds when we go down with the prize ribbon, which is extremely dark. So I'm going to be delicate with my my prize ribbon, and I'm going to be using my smaller brush, which is this one, as you can see in comparison to that one. And I've got a little bit of fluff on the end of that, so I'm just going to take that off, and now I'm going into the prize ribbon. Now, if you've got this, you know how dark it is, so I'm just picking up just a little bit to begin with, and I just want to concentrate on the areas that would be those, like, I don't know what you call them. They almost look like eyes looking at you, don't they? The patterns on the feathers. And if I go quiet, I'm having fun. So I'm just dabbing that in. And then I might just, you know, sort of blend that bit around subtly. Now, I know that I've got a little bit left on my brush. I'm going to darken up the body section here a bit. That would be the peacock's wing, and I'm going up there. But I want just a little touch of it on the crown. There. I might even get my gold pen out in a minute. Who knows? You know what I'm like. I like to get carried away. So now we've got barely anything left of that prize ribbon on this little brush, and I'm just squeezing it around so that I'm getting as many colours as possible from the 3 that I've used into those peacock feathers. And I really like that. And of course, what you've got to remember is with the golds going on the panel behind, you're going to have gold bits coming through the half moony bits, so you don't have to worry about that. So now I think we've got some quite nice shading going on in our peacock there. So I'm going to leave that like that. I'm going to clean my mess up, and then I just think it needs a little bit of sparkling gold pen. Mess is all cleaned up, and this is the pen that I'm using, and it is a, what is it? It's a Uniball Signo, and it's the gold sparkling. These come in a set, but personally, although I like my other colours, I use the silver and the gold the most. So this is the gold, and I always like to warm pens on my finger. You can see that it's really sparkly. These are absolutely hands down the best sparkly pens, and I want to put a little bit on top of the peacock there. I don't know if you saw me put that up there. That is the headdress of the peacock, and I'm also going to do the peacock's beak. And then, you know, you can kind of like just look around, like you've got embossed areas that you could go into if you wanted to. But I'm just going to stick with these bits here. I kind of like these halfy moon shapes on the feathers, kind of make those stick out a little bit more. And I'm going to hold it up and into the light. And hopefully you can see that. Let me get my hand in there to find a point. There. See, I've just done the little half moon sections underneath the wings, and I'm going to do the rest of them. So just to save on time, I'll come straight back. So I got a little bit carried away and did some of the embossed parts there, but I don't know what's going on with my camera today. I don't know whether it's brightness or what it is, but all those little bits there underneath the feathers are just super sparkly. A little bit of gold on the peacock's headdress and on the beak, and it's just really pretty. In fact, I can move my mat now and just put that there. Maybe you can see it a lot better without the glare coming off the silicone. I don't know, but sometimes you just have to position things just to try and get them where you need. But that is where the gold is. I just think that's super pretty. Right, so before I fold it, I'm going to be gluing the peacock feathers down, and these are going to be going here on the inside. So I'm just going to position them after that serrated edge. So, you know, not on it, because that's going to fold. You want to get your feathers just there so that you've got that bit before you fold this piece over onto it. So I'm just going to be using my Dollar Tree glue, and I'm going to move my peacock for now. I'll get my scruffy mat back, and all I'm going to do is flip this over and look at where, you know, my glue needs to go. And if it's blocked up, no, it's not. And so I'm just going to dot this all over and then basically show you where I've put the glue and just come back. Right, so as you can see, there are quite a few dots and scrawls of glue there. I'm going to leave that just for a minute, just to set off just very slightly, because there's so much possibility of it squeezing out, and I'll come back in just a few seconds. Right, so there's a reasonable close-up so you can see where all that glue is, and now I'm going to stick it down to the inside of my card. And as I said before, you want it just after the folding edge, so this is very delicate, and you know, you've just got to be able to hold it in a place that's comfortable for you. And because it's wet, you're going to be able to slide it, and at this point you're able to see if anything else is going to need trimming off before you fold it. And I can see that there is a wee bit of trimming that will need to be done, but I can just take that across to the guillotine and do that. So we're pushing down our lovely gold peacock feathers there. Check to make sure you haven't got any yuck going underneath, so your card stays nice. But what a lovely, lovely design. I absolutely love that. I mean, it's just so delicate. If I pick it up and show you, you can see there's a little bit of an edge there that I need to trim, and there's quite a little bit of an edge here. You know, that's probably my fault because I didn't have my paper cut straight when I cut the die, but you know, it's easy enough to go in and trim things like that off the edge before you fold them. But let's see how close we can get. Isn't that lovely? That's just so delicate. And then of course this is what's going to be folded over onto it. And as I say, it's a really bright day here at the moment, so that's probably why. But I'm going to let that dry for a few seconds, guillotine it, come back and fold it. Right, so I've guillotined that little bit that was sticking up top and bottom so that it's all nice and tidy with the card now. You can see that. And let's fold it and see what we've got, because I don't know what we've got until I fold it. And I think the best way to do this is going to be, you've got to remember my humidity here, and I can't see, so I'm going to have to hold it up in the air to find my crease lines, and hopefully I'm getting them. And then I will go over with a bone folder. So I'm going to choose to fold first of all from the reverse. And just go down there. And then I'm going to flip that one over and very delicately go down the front. Now if you find that on your broken edge it's gone a bit too pale for you, I'm just reaching into my basket here, then you know you can fluff the edge up just a little bit just to get rid of that. I'm going to take my scruffy mat away, and what a pretty, pretty card. I'm going to do the full measurement of that finished. I hope that you can see all those details. I mean, I can try and, you know, swizzle my camera around and put my hand in it and try and focus, but I think that that is my best focus point. I will try and get a close-up photo of this to show at the front of the video, but you open it up, you've got that gorgeous gold peacock feather, and then you've got the peacock on the top. You can stamp your sentiment in there, plenty of space, you know, for your happy birthday or happy anniversary or whatever it is you want to put in. But what an absolute delight that is. I just absolutely love that. I just wish that it was showing up better, because it really is pretty and sparkly. Well, I hope that you enjoyed that tutorial today. And as I said, back and forth, and they just cut out so nicely. And tomorrow, back with more of the panels. And I think tomorrow, let's do one or two envelopes using them, because I think some of them were the right shape to be a flap on an envelope. So let's do that. And then on Friday, let's do a couple of ephemera pockets. And then, you know, at least I will have used, what, 6 of them. I'll come back on Monday and just show you the die cuts and maybe do a bit more colouring again, because it's just nice to know that something cuts out. But they are a real deep cut blade on them, so I can't see that there's going to be any problems. And you know, I think it's quite typical to just go back and forth on something that's a bit lacy and delicate. So I do thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you have an absolutely awesome day, and as usual, all links below. Bye.